Hi guys, we're going to start looking at the classification of 3D figures. Super excited, we finally got into those 3D figures. Let's just explain a little bit of what they are though. The one that we actually have already worked with so far is spheres. I kind of skipped ahead with the notes and did those first because I really like spheres. So that's just a solid in which each point is equidistant from a center point. Not that surprising since before we had a circle just there, and let's pretend that we're just working with the great circle right now. Same thing, it used to be equidistant from there, but now that we're having 3D figures, it's equidistant from all the way around. It doesn't matter which way you go, it's still going to be a sphere. The next one that we're going to go into is going to be prisms. Now, the reason why I'm going into prisms is that's actually what you're working with today. You're working with prisms and cylinders. So, what this is a solid with two bases that are congruent and parallel. This figure is a triangular prism because the bases are triangles. So, this ends up being that you have two bases. So, it's easier to see on the cylinder. So, I'm going to show you that. So, this is a base. And that is a base. If you can tell, they are congruent. They're the same shape. They're congruent. They're parallel to each other. And all you do is you connect them, okay? In this case, this would be the soup can. I consider the cylinder just the soup can. So, those lines, it's not actually two lines. It's all the way around. Think about a soup can. It just goes from the two bases straight up. Okay, that's what happens with these figures. So I look, okay, I need to find the ones that are parallel and congruent. So if I was thinking, okay, maybe it's this side panel here, there's nothing right over here that's parallel to it. So it can't be that one. So let's see, maybe it's the top. So that's right here. Okay, triangle, is there one underneath? Yep, there's one right under there that's congruent to it and parallel right over there. Think about what shape it is, okay? So in this case, three-sided triangle. This is why that would be a triangular prism. You're gonna just have to memorize the different types of ways to call the prisms. Rectangular prisms, trapezoidal prisms. You're just gonna have to remember those. Usually you can figure out though looking at them. If you saw that word, you can kind of figure, yeah, that's gonna be a triangle where they end. So each of the sides here has these things called faces that we'll talk about in a little bit, but really what we have is they took the two triangles that were parallel and they connected the ends all the way down. Those are gonna be our height. So we'll get there, don't worry. Next thing that I'm gonna look at is the cylinder, just so that we can go through it. It is circular bases, cylinder, soup can, okay? It is a prism because of the fact that it's connected like that, okay? The next two is, instead of having these bases and there's two of them right above each other and you connect them, this is going to be the pyramid and the cone. You should probably think, in your head, you should have an idea of both of those shapes. The pyramid here, it still has the base, but there's only one of them. So as you can see, let me just draw the base here, okay? And it comes up. These faces on the side come up to a point at the top, okay? Super cool there. Cone, a pyramid width. So yep, just a special type of pyramid. Instead of having a triangular base like this one, this is why this would be a triangular pyramid. This one is a circular base. That's a special thing, and it's my ice cream cone. I always think about it like that, mainly because I'm always hungry. But that's your ice cream cone. Its base is a circle, and it comes up to a point, okay? Now just think it's round around that part because of the fact that it's coming from a circle, okay? So let's get into the notes. Okay, I'm gonna put some of these, actually let's leave it here so that you can at least still see the top part. So I look here, definitely some type of pyramid. It's coming to one point. So I go, okay, this is my base, right down there. That has 4 right angles. I can assume that is a rectangle. So this is what we're gonna call it. It's going to be a rectangular pyramid. Sound good? This one might be easy to figure out. Yep, that's my base right there. It's coming to this point. Ice cream cone. So it's a cone. Over here, a little bit trickier. I might think, okay, is this front face parallel to the one in the back? No. The top and the bottom are. So here, we've actually gone through this exact one. It actually is right over here. I don't know if you can see that on your thing. This is gonna be a triangular prism. Remember, it doesn't come to one point like a pyramid. It comes to the same exact base, the congruent base at the top. So this is a triangular prism, okay? Down to here, comes to a point. Okay, so I know it's some type of pyramid. Doesn't have a congruent base. The tricky part about this is what the heck is that on the bottom? Okay, so I gotta count the sides. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we gotta think 6-sided figures, hexagon. So what do we think we're gonna call this? It's definitely a pyramid, but it's a hexagon, so it's a hexagonal pyramid. Hexagonal pyramid. If you do need a refresher on the sides of polygons, for example, like a 3-sided figure is a triangle, 4-sided quadrilateral, things like that, just look it up. It will be super simple. There's just a list. They always give you 1 to usually like 12 sides. These are the names. Good thing to know. I just assume most of you do actually know those at this point. Moving on to this, it is definitely looking like a soup can, which is my cylinder. I have the circular base on the top and bottom. Yep, cylinder. Kind of cool one. At first I'm thinking, oh, maybe that's a square and it goes that way, but I can't assume it's a square. It doesn't give me enough that's a square. However, it does definitely give me that these have right angles on the bottom. That's definitely a rectangle on the bottom. Yep, the top. Now, could I have just choose front and back? Yeah, if you're assuming that these are right angles, yeah, you could use those. I'm just using those for right now, okay? So this is a rectangular prism. This one ends up being the super tricky one just because it's weird to see. A lot of people use top and bottom. It doesn't end up being top and bottom on this one. This is also my favorite word that we go over, and I don't know why, but we're gonna look. If you look at the top, that's a small kind of rectangle looking thing. If I go to the bottom, yes, it's parallel, definitely parallel. However, it has to also be congruent, and that small shape at the bottom is not congruent to the larger shape on the bottom here, okay? So they're parallel, but they're not congruent. So that can't be the bases. So I have to look. The two sides, they're slanted, so it's definitely, they're not parallel, so no. So let's see front and back. It ends up being the front and the back here. Ooh, let's go here and here. Sorry, that was not my best drawing that I've ever had. I'm just gonna outline those to make that a little easier. Okay, so think about what shape that is. We already learned this. That is a trapezoid. However, it ends up being a super cool word. It is a trapezoidal prism. Just say that a couple times fast. Trapezoidal prism. Nice. Trapezoidal prism. How do I know it's a prism? They took two trapezoids and they straight up connected it with lines. Okay? This one, definitely a pyramid, comes to the top like that. But if you can tell, this one ends up being super interesting because they give you this extra little lines here. Yes, it's definitely some sort of rectangle, but it also says that by having those dashes that is a square. Therefore, this is like the most uncool name. They could have done so much more with this. It is a square pyramid. Didn't make it cool. Just went with square. Square pyramid. That's fine. Looking at this one, I go, okay, it's definitely some sort of prism. It ends up being top and bottom. Those are 5 sides. Okay, so you gotta go in and be like, okay, what is a 5-sided figure? Some of you know this by the building. Pentagon. So, this is a pentagonal prism. Down to here. Okay, this ended up being the exact example that they gave up there. It's weird because technically any of these could have been the base coming to a point. We're going with the bottom. Why not? 3-sided triangle. So it's a triangular. Pyramid. Okay. Yet another one, kind of iffy here. Okay, usually first thing I always think is, okay, top and bottom. Nope, bottom, top, definitely not parallel. Side, definitely not parallel. The front and back faces, however, if you look here and here, okay, I'm gonna shade those. It is a prism, some sort of prism, uses triangles, so it is a triangular prism. Last thing, we know this, sphere. Something that they didn't actually go on this paper is another one that we know, and it's a hemisphere. That's half of it, okay? But for right now, we're just going with sphere. The only other thing that I wanted to point out is why are some of them solid lines? Why are some of them dashed lines? So let's say you're looking at a figure, okay? And we are going to potentially use something here that I don't have. Let me go and find something. Sorry. Okay, here we go. Tissue box. Let's say you got a tissue box. I don't know if you guys can see this perfectly, but it is a tissue box, okay? Let's go for right now that it's a rectangular prism. Might not be, but kind of. It's probably a square. Okay, so let's say I'm looking at it like this, okay? I'm trying to see it. Okay, let's say I'm looking at it like this. The lines that I would see, like here, 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 and here, those would be solid lines when looking at it, okay? Anything else that is behind here that I can't see but I know is there are going to be the dashed lines, okay? They put it dashed and solid just so that you can kind of see what you're looking at. So for example, when you were looking at the soup can, let's say you're looking at it like up here, you can see the top, you can see the sides, you can see the front of the bottom one, but if you have a soup can like that, you can't see the back of the soup can, okay? So that's why that would have been dashed. That's it. you're gonna go watch the next video, and that is on surface area of prisms and cylinders. Have fun.